What is going on, everybody? It's your boy All Shoes Matter, and in this episode I'm going to show you how to install LEDs in your air units with no cutting or no drilling. I already installed lights in these shoes, but you couldn't tell until I flipped the switch. So now that you've seen that it's been done, let me show you how I made it happen. First off, we most definitely need to remove these shoelaces. Quick thing I like to do, I fold the tongue over. It gets it out the way and frees up space. We're gonna need it later. For this section, you're gonna need an X-Acto knife and a number 2 pencil. I'll explain to you in a minute. So before I do any type of cutting, I like to give myself a reference point. In this case, I choose the back of the heel, the center of the shoe. That way, I get an even cut on both sides. Very important, before choosing a color to install into your air unit, you have to be aware the color of your air bubble. In some cases, darker colors may not show other colors as you would like. As you can see, these are green. So no matter what I put in these air units, it's gonna show up green. Whether I put red, blue, purple, pink, it's gonna show up green. So in this case, there's other types of situations that allow you to change the overall appearance, the aesthetics, the illumination, whether it be color changing, flickering, or whatever theme you have in mind. But in this shoe, I'm going to show you have 2 options on how to illuminate your air units. This shoe will be a 3-part custom. We're going to put lights in the air units. I'm going to go ahead and change out the heel tabs, and I'm going to change out the Jordan logo with something I created. So first cuts we want to do, we want to start taking the sock liner away from the side of the shoe. Be careful not to cut the sock liner. We only want to cut the stitching. So now that we got our stitching cut, I want to gently pry the padding away from the sides of the shoe. We're going to need this fully intact to achieve maximum comfort. And now we're back to our reference line. On every shoe, there's a stitch line. It's where the upper meets the sole. We want to cut just above that stitch line. This is why we remove the sole before cutting. So I want to go ahead and mark it off and make sure I'm aware of where I need to cut. Before cutting, I always use a brand new blade, and I keep my X-Acto knife as parallel to the outside of the shoe as possible. This helps on me accidentally cutting through the leather. After cutting the sock liner, you want to gently pry away from the base of the shoe, being careful not to rip or tear, because this helps with the overall appearance of the shoe. So now that we have more access, I want to take my 2 fingers and continue to gently pry the padding away from the outside of the shoe, trying to keep everything intact, because this will help with hiding our wires and achieving ultimate comfort. When all said and done, you should end up with something like this. You should be able to flip the sock liner up over the top of the shoe. So now that we got things out the way, I want to take my clamps and go ahead and keep this sock liner out the way to help us give us the most room we can possibly get in such a short amount of space. For this next section, you're going to use an X-Acto knife with a brand new blade, some needle nose pliers, and your heating gun. So on every shoe, there is also another stitch line. This connects the upper to the bottom padding. We're not looking to cut the whole thing. We just want to cut to the middle of the shoe. All we care about is just the stitch lining. We're not cutting anything else. Now that we got our stitch line cut, we want to go ahead and heat up the area for about 30 to 45 seconds, continuously passing over the bottom of the shoe. Then you want to take your needle nose pliers and gently start prying from the edges the bottom padding until it's released. You may need to heat it up a couple of times to achieve this. So after scaling back the material, you can see that there is holes already there for us. There is no drilling that is required. As I shine my light through the air bubble, you can see it illuminating through the inside of the shoe. There are many different holes in the top of the shoe that allow you to achieve different kind of things that you're going for. I usually go through the middle holes. This time, we're going to be going on the outside. For this next section, you're going to need some wires, a couple of switches, a couple of battery holders, some flux, a little bit of solder, some batteries, a soldering gun, some wire cutters, and some LEDs. Or you can get rid of all that hassle and get a pre-wired kit from me. I'll be having these available on my site. They'll be available in multiple of colors, and in the future, multiple of different varieties, whether it be flickering, color changing. Hey, the possibilities are endless. I do not stock these. I make these to order. So let's get started. I want to tack some glue just on the outside of the hole. I do not want to get glue in the hole because this will cause the light to become blurry from the LED. So now that we got both our lights tacked into place, I want to apply a thin layer of glue just to help the adhesion of the lights. Remember, we're not going for a full coat. We want to minimize the lumps and any high places because remember, we are stepping on these. Always continuously check the LEDs to see if they're working continuously throughout the process. So now that we got our LEDs into place, I want to go ahead and cover up these wires with some construction grade masking tape. This will help eliminate the movement of wires and give us a peace of mind that the LEDs ain't going anywhere. So now that we got our base wires from the LEDs tacked, I want to go ahead and tack the wires that run from the LEDs up the sides of the shoe. Every bit counts. This will help eliminate movement and help give you a peace of mind once again that these LEDs are well protected. Being sure to cut any excess tape that may show once you put down the sock liner. Once that is done, we are ready to move on to the next step. We are going to be installing our switches and our battery holders. I like to put the switches on the outside of the shoe, so what I do is I like to take my finger and I kind of wiggle the padding away from the top lace hole. Once I felt I've created enough space, I'm ready to install my switch. I want to go ahead and add a dab of glue to the back of my switch. This will help to anchor it once it dries. Be aware, you do not have a lot of time, so making sure you have enough space is very, very vital. You want to go ahead and repeat the process if you have to, but you want to get a couple of times before things get messy. As I get my switch closer to where I need it to be, I can gently start walking it down from the outside using my thumb, being very cautious and not to put in too much pressure because I can rip the wires. As you get closer, you'll be able to tell because you'll be able to see the switch from the outside. Now that we got it anchored, we're ready to move on to the next step. As we continue to move on to install our wires, we want to make sure the wires that we see just coming from the switch are anchored down first and very well secured. This is very vital in less movement and keeps everything intact. Now that we have that intact, we can continue to move on to gluing the wires as close to the top of the shoe as possible. So now that we got our wires ran and secure, we want to go ahead and pull our battery holder out to give us enough room so whenever we need to change, we're not disturbing the other wires. At this point, you can go ahead and use some construction grade masking tape, or you can tuck it underneath the padding. At this point, you can tuck the battery away by simply rolling it up and tucking it in between the padding and the outside of the shoe. Go ahead and drape your sock liner down. Check to see if the lights are going. Yup, we're still good. At this point, I will apply a gentle amount of glue behind the sock liner, gently squeegeeing down the sock liner, making sure everything is nice and straight and flush. On this side, I tend to put double-sided tape. This way, if I need to change out the battery, I can gently peel up the sock liner, take out the battery, switch it out, put it back, and I'm good to go. Now that we have everything installed, we are ready to lay down our base. You can gently apply a little bit of hot glue to the bottom, being sure not to put too much because we do not want any high spots or areas that will cause discomfort. Gently squeegee back towards the heel to ensure everything is flat and level. So now that's done, you can gently untuck your tongue and insert your insole. Now just tuck your sock liner just past the insole so you're left with a nice clean factory looking custom. Double checking to see if our lights work. Left shoe off on, looking nice. Right shoe off on. Yes, we're definitely done. So there you have it, guys. Got the lights installed and the LEDs with everything you see here. Just want to let you know that I appreciate every single one of y'all that ever followed me. If you guys love what I do, see what I do, and want to know more about it, just hit me up in the comments. Drop me a DM on my Instagram. It's All Shoes Matter. Thank you so much. More videos to come. Just let me know what you want and I'll try to give you what you need. Until then, thank you so much. Continue creating and God bless.